All right, today we're going to tackle one of the most common tools in your retirement plan, the target date fund. You've probably seen these things in your 401k, right? But do you really know how they work? Let's dive in.
Okay, so have you ever logged into your company's retirement website, looked at that long list of mutual friends, and just felt completely lost? If so, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And trust me, you are not alone. It can feel like you need a PhD in finance just to get started. With the markets going up and down and just so many options, it is super easy to get paralyzed by all the choices. And that confusion can lead you to do nothing, or even worse, make emotional decisions that can really mess with your long-term goals. But what if there was a simpler way? A way to cut through all that noise? Well, that's where target date funds, or TDFs, come into the picture. They were literally created to solve this exact problem. They're the original set-it-and-forget-it investment designed to make the whole process as easy as making a single choice. So, what exactly is a TDF? Think of it like a professionally managed, diversified portfolio all wrapped up into one single fund. But here's the key, the real magic. It automatically adjusts its mix of investments over time. It starts out aggressive and then gets more and more conservative as you get closer to the year you want to retire. And picking the right one, it's designed to be dead simple. You just find the fund that has the year in its name closest to when you think you'll retire. For a quick estimate, just take the year you were born and add, say, 66 years. So if you were born in 1990, that puts you around 2056. You just pick the 2055 or 2060 fund. That's it. Pretty easy, right? Now, how does a TDF automatically handle all that risk management for you? This is where the secret sauce is. It's all powered by a concept called the glide path. And this glide path is the engine that drives the entire fund.
And hey, don't just take it from me. As investment manager Rich Weiss puts it, the glide path is the single most critical piece of a TDF. Seriously, it controls your entire investment journey from start to finish.
And this chart right here, it shows you exactly what we're talking about. This is a classic glide path. See, when you're young, way over on the left, the fund is packed with stocks to go for maximum growth. Then, as you get older and move to the right, it automatically and gradually shifts your money into more conservative stuff, like bonds, to protect what you've earned. Probably the best way to think about it is like an airplane coming in for a landing. The fund slowly and smoothly lowers its altitude, reducing risk as you get closer and closer to your destination, a safe and sound retirement. Okay, but here's a really important detail. Not all landings are the same. There are two main philosophies here, to and through. A to fund basically lands the plane at your retirement date. It hits its most conservative point right then. This is great if you're planning to move your money out, maybe into an annuity. A through fund, on the other hand, keeps gliding for another 15 or 20 years after you retire. It's designed for people who plan to keep their money in the fund and just withdraw it over time. Knowing which one you have, it's absolutely crucial. So how did these things get so huge? I mean, their rise wasn't just some gradual trend, it was a total revolution in how we save for retirement. And it was all kicked off by one major piece of legislation.
TDFs were actually created way back in the early 90s, but for more than a decade, they were a pretty niche product. But the real game changer, the thing that blew the doors wide open, was the Pension Protection Act of 2006. This law let companies automatically enroll their employees in a default investment option, and TDFs were a perfect fit. After that, their popularity just exploded. And when I say exploded, I mean it. By 2020, we're talking about a mind-boggling $1.9 trillion invested in target date funds in the US alone. That's trillion with a T.
And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? That incredible flood of money turned TDFs from just a clever idea into the absolute cornerstone of America's retirement system. Just look at the blue bars here. After that 2006 law, the number of retirement plans offering them went through the roof, and they quickly became the default for a whole generation of savers. Okay, but the story isn't over. Now that TDFs are so common, we're starting to realize that we need to look beyond the basics. The future is really about understanding the important differences that are hiding just under the surface. That set it and forget it tagline is great marketing, but it can be a little, misleading. Because how a fund manager actually keeps the portfolio on that glide path, their rebalancing strategy, can have a real impact on your money.
So how do they keep the fund on track? Well, there are basically two ways they do it. The first is calendar-based rebalancing.
It's simple. They rebalance on a schedule, like every month or every quarter. But that can rack up transaction costs. The other way is threshold-based, where they only rebalance when the fund drifts away from its target by a certain amount. This can mean lower costs and, according to some research, might actually lead to better performance in the long run. I love this quote because it gets to the very heart of what a TDF is trying to do. Think about saving for retirement like running a marathon. The goal of the TDF isn't to help one person finish with a record-breaking time, the absolute highest return possible. The goal is to make sure that most of the runners, that's us, the investors, all cross the finish line safely, even if it means running at a steadier, more controlled pace. It's all about consistency and making sure as many people succeed as possible. So here's the bottom line. Target date funds are amazing tools built for simplicity, but simple doesn't mean you shouldn't know what's going on under the hood. So ask yourself, is your fund a to or a through fund? How does it rebalance? Taking just a little bit of time to understand the design of your set it and forget it investment can make a huge difference down the road.
This is not financial advice.